So my new interpretation, having just rewatched The Shining after a decade or so, is that basically the story makes a lot of sense to me if Dick Hallorann is the main character in the film, and he's the one character in which this the like person shell, like what's like a normal human being is like, that's being challenged in this film, but like what we would call just a person, is merged with the kind of psychospiritual like psychic entity. Like in his character they're just one thing, and he's the hero because he encounters this problem of dealing with the other entities, and then goes to rescue and sacrifices himself to save Wendy and Danny and Danny's entity. And that like that there's kind of
What
like
do you mean by Danny's entity?
Tony, like the character of the psychic parts, because in Danny they're split. There's like Danny as the boy, and then there's Tony. But in Dick they're just one, and in Jack they're also split. There's like Jack. Like I don't think that Jack is evil. I think Jack is like, there's the Jack who's a good person, and then there's this entity inside him that like is unsuccessful because Jack's person is too strong. That the person doesn't give way to the psychic force that's trying to kill the other psychic force.
I'm not sure if I followed that last part.
Okay,
so I also didn't get I didn't get the impression that Jack is evil. Like I felt like he's just going crazy. But then there were some overlays, when like this what gallery? No, what's his name? When he told him that Danny was trying to bring in like another.
Oh, when Grady tells him this
party, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so just to lay out my framework.
Yeah.
The idea is that it's good and evil doesn't describe it well, because you don't actually get to see who's good and who's evil. You just get to see that there's this force that is merged with a human inside of Dick Hallorann, and then there's like another force that's inside of Danny that is like, works together with Dick as one team against this other the like second team, which consists of the Overlook Hotel and what of that becomes inside of Jack's person. And that in that way these, like, I just feel like the story is not limited to the logical physical world. Like if they're just if the story is seen as these magic forces competing with other magic forces and using humans as like avatars to do their bidding, the film makes total sense to me. Like and it functions like as a story in that way too. Like, but I think that it's also the fact that it's not presented in that way makes the story very interesting too, because you're kind of, it subverts all of these narrative things of what you expect about how the film to progress, seeing Wendy as the main character or Jack as the main character. And because you're trying to see it that way, it makes it very interesting and confusing, what's going on. If you were just following Dick throughout the film, it's not as exciting as like following Jack and then realizing, oh, he's maybe from the beginning they foreshadow that he's evil, but it's like, I don't know. It reminds me of have you ever seen the show Phineas and Ferb?
Mm-mm.
So in Phineas and Ferb, I mean, the show is called Phineas and Ferb, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the characters Phineas and Ferb aren't really the main characters. The main character is really their pet, Perry the Platypus, because he's the one who's, you know, faces conflict with Dr. Doofenshmirtz and then
Perry
succeeds.
the Platypus sounds familiar. Maybe
Yeah.
you have shown me something.
I've shown you
about it.
a compilation of Doofenshmirtz finding Perry and going,
I think I was
"A
finding it a
platypus?
little bit.
Perry the Platypus!
I think I was finding it a bit overstimulating at that.
Yeah,
time.
at that particular time, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, you know, the B plot looks like the A plot kind of thing. But yeah, so that's so like now I would say it wasn't the hotel that opened the door. It was this kind of spirit entity that is affiliated inside of the hotel, affiliated inside of Grady, affiliated, you know, inside of Jack, is that it's just this one amalgamous kind of force.
Wow.
That is then contending with the other force.
That's really interesting. This version, and yeah, makes me think about it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
But originally, like, my feeling was that it wasn't, like, it just didn't matter who opened the door.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could have been, you know, that it's not important.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was all a mix, that it was kind of meant to be confusing, that you're not quite sure what's going on, and like that partly it was, you know, Jack's hallucinations, but then, you know, maybe the real reason, because it was shown from his perspective as he was hallucinating, like, you know, the real reason of it opening, we like obviously at that point he was in different reality.
Yeah.
So, you know, it could have been that he just somehow managed to open it. I don't know, like, but I thought that it wasn't important. Like,
yeah,
what was important was to, you know, show the story that, I mean, if Jack just got stuck in that that room until the rescue. I think I said it already, no?
If you want to finish your sentence.
Where we ended, yeah, that Jack, if he just got locked in that room, it wouldn't have been as interesting of a story.
Well, the one thing though is that, like, within the text, the door does click. Like, there's a indication that the door was unlocked, which
in the book.
No, in the film. Like, there's a sound.
Yeah. No, I got that as well. Yeah, but that was my thinking, that in his mind, this what happened. That, you know, this guy unlocked the door, but in reality, you know, it kind of that matches his imagination matches physical reality, which something very like ordinary could have happened.
So, like, jumping back into bringing the director into it, like, I feel that Kubrick is well aware of the ambiguity. It's that it's intentional, that like that there could be, you know, ghost interpretations or dream or hallucination interpretations. And I think he even jokes about these kinds of stuffs, like when Jack is being pulled by Wendy, you know, he starts the shot with Jack on the ground, not revealing who is pulling him. There's like a few instances of that where it's like there's a reveal given, but they create this not dramatic irony. It's just not instantly revealed, but like sometimes, you know, it's like when the ball is rolling to Danny and then they see it's from nothing,
Yeah.
these kinds of things are, left open. But it's like he's playing around with that that's like one of the key mechanisms of the film, is playing with these things, and that's maybe more significant than talking about who actually did it. But usually I don't like that question, but right now I'm kind of like it, because the film makes so much sense to me if it's being viewed through this like psycho-spiritual magic lens. Then it's like it makes so much sense why it would lift into these higher dimensions of like, time bending and the things, people are seeing the future and seeing the past, and it's going into the past and going into the future, because it's not meant to be viewed as like a logic-based narrative. It's meant to be viewed as a, psychedelic narrative between these two things that just, engage on these higher planes. Wow. That because in every one of those scenes, like these, Jack is in his different state, and like these ballroom characters are like in this other kind of plane, and there's also this separation that Jack kind of goes to those places alone, and then he comes back, and that Danny, he goes into his place alone or with Dick, and then he goes back, and like it's quite beautiful in that way,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really nice film. And I love, I don't know, I could talk for a while about cinematography stuff, but just obviously Stanley's like the best at kind of framing, doing these really long takes, with the, like these long pans shots where everything is so orchestrated, like where the people are walking, where they're stopping, turning, coming, and everything is like the walls and the ceiling and the drawing, everything is so orchestrated. Yeah. One of the best blockbuster comedies our generation has ever seen.
What do you think of like these scenes where like the blood comes out of the walls and those?
Oh, it's hilarious. I think that he just did it and he really liked it, so he just wanted to put it in like a lot of times. Like I think that's just a case of directoritis, just enjoying your own stuff too much that you want to do it,
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, I think that's also of the time. Like there's just these kind of campy classic horror elements of like the red rum, and the, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, and come play with us forever and ever and ever, and the blood out of the wall. Like these kinds of things are just like, yeah, they're iconic because they're the silly horror movie stuff from the 80s that's, fun. But it's, I liked it that it was like ultimately when he actually sees it, that it kind of, that there's this reckoning moment where when he engages into that, like, it doesn't really go anywhere, but it's some sort of a resolution to these fragmented separations and stuff.
Well, for me, it's still very raw because, as you know, I just seen it for the first time now. So I'm sure my interpretation might change over time. And yeah, my first impression about Wendy coming into that world, it felt like, oh, that's kind of weird that she doesn't belong in this kind of supernatural psychic realm, and that it was more of a like for us, like for the viewer to like just, I don't know how to say it, just portray that like horror atmosphere that was there. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I think what he's doing is it's kind of just like he's playing off of the movie trope, or just the way that like anybody coming fresh into that film is gonna default assume that Wendy is the hero and that she's facing the opposition of Jack and that she's going to either succeed or lose in kind of saving herself and her son from him. When in reality, it's really Dick is the only one that kind of like properly makes moves to make anything happen, and Wendy remains in the dark basically throughout the entire film. She's just kind of like this straight man decoy figure that like doesn't grasp what's going on. Like, it's just
I mean, she begins to kind of
but I don't know if she's understanding anything on a deeper level, she's just kind of, oh, you did this to him, oh, there's a woman in the room, oh, you're, we need to get out of here. Like, she just goes back and forth between whether she's including Jack in the plan or not. Like, it's weird to think about her too much as a character, because I think the point is that she's, like the straight person. And I think that is quite deep, it's like it's important to have that there as an anchor, so that the supernatural can be supernatural. I mean, you can't have the whole world engaging in that place, or else that's just like the rules of then it's no longer this.
Yeah, it's no longer spooky if everyone's in on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked Wendy's character.
Yeah. No, Wendy's great.
I don't know, I think there was something quite genuine about her, like, struggling to like realize that her partner has gone insane and like, for a while not being sure, like, is he gonna kill them, is he just having a bad day, like I thought that was quite, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that was that brought a lot of tension of not, like I couldn't trust her not open that door to him, for example, when she closed him in for a moment.
Yeah.
So that was part of the suspense.
I'm just gonna cut. I like this video. We're doing editing.
What?
We're doing editing in this video. It's very tight, I don't want to just meander. I want to really nail out these bullet points.
Okay.
I just think that the viewers might have some more unanswered questions they're just begging to hear our hot takes on. So what's the story with room 237, eh? The door was locked and it was unlocked. There was nothing, and then there was the woman. Was it the woman that strangled Danny? Was it the young woman? Was it the old woman?
Yeah. what I thought that like Jack felt pulled to that room, and he was maybe sitting there or having these like hallucinations of this woman, and then maybe Danny walked in on him and he got angry, or alternatively that maybe Jack already left the room but Danny went in there, and then because he has this like psychic sensitivity, he sensed what happened there, and then he went into shock and very afraid, and I don't know, maybe then there is like some merge with like an entity, but like it was for me, I haven't had time to think about it, but it seemed again like it's not completely necessary to know exactly what happened there.
I mean,
but it's interesting to think about it.
I'm not one to say like what the film means definitively, but let's argue.
Okay.
So the reason I refute the hallucination theory is that, like, the film is called The Shining. Like, within the overt text of the film, there is a supernatural power of, psychic communication and seeing things in the future and the past, known as shining. That's like spelled out for you very clearly in the beginning in this conversation. So that we know is true. And in order for the hallucination theory to be true, it would mean that Jack, he was crazy from the beginning, like even before going to the hotel, because Ullman, told him all this stuff about the guy cutting the girls up with an axe, and like, but this is also stuff that Danny engages with when he, meets the girls and stuff. So I believe all that is not in Jack's imagination. So if it's true that there was a previous caretaker and there was this murder that occurred, and then there's these girls who either exist or Danny is seeing into the past or something, like Jack needs to I mean, it does hold up, I guess. Jack just kind of like had this information and then started to imagine things themed around those, like it's his paranoia or something like that.
Well, my thoughts on that was that Jack and Danny are kind of like in some way in the same boat, that they are both Danny just has this gift, let's say, of seeing, and Jack, because he's going crazy, he is like part of that, maybe he's losing his own mind, so he's a little bit more open to like some of that, psychic information too that's there, so that he's actually more able also to perceive, because he's more connected to that whole thing. Because, as you said, Wendy is just
right.
No idea what's going on, but Jack is the one that for some reason feels connection to maybe this previous killer, and he's just like that. I felt like he wasn't completely crazy when he came there. That's at least my first interpretation, was that the whole place and everything, it just kind of matched in the middle. That like, I mean, of course he felt drawn to go to that job for some reason, but it was more of an energetic thing that he just had this trajectory, and
that's a lot more along what I believe, because I believe there's high credibility to what Jack sees. The other issue with him like going crazy is that if that is what's happening, then the film does like a very poor job at kind of motivating that. I mean, other than, the fact that they're in a hotel and they said it in the interview that, people go crazy there, we don't see that in the film, that he's like under stress and is progressively like losing his mind. It just doesn't it doesn't feel that way. It just kind of like, it's just like, bang, this starts to occur. It just feels like there's a force that's driving this. Like, just when I watch the film, it feels like this hotel is, haunted, like that there's like something there that's occurring. Like, if the hotel is just a completely normal hotel, then I would want to see Jack, his character start to, I would want to like identify with his character and then understand how the character, we really see when that hardship occurs that drives because we just start to see him in that mode, like, just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I saw it as definitely intermingling, that he's definitely, so, I think his mental health wasn't the best already when he came there.
Yeah.
So being in that kind of environment, maybe energetically feeling that, what happened there,
Yeah.
it just created perfect conditions for him to, and
Yeah.
I think differently to you, I think I did kind of, because it's a movie, I'm sure it can't show a very long path to him going crazy, but I did kind of sense that he was very frustrated with his maybe responsibilities, and that he was maybe struggling to feel like, he's achieving enough. I felt like he was feeling a lot of pressure to, be successful in front of other people's eyes, and, feel like, I don't know, that's how I seen it. That there's a lot of, stuff there that's unresolved, that's just
I mean,
came all together.
my argument, it's not that it doesn't add up logically, like the pieces are all there. It's just that as the story is told, it doesn't make sense, because we would then we would meet a problem where we want him to be okay, If he's a person suffering from mental health, it would be a film about our hero who loses his mind and how sad it is. Like, there would at least be some dimension of like there's his downfall and how it affects others, but also poor Jack who's suffering. But we don't really get that side of it. You know what I mean?
But War says that it needs to be that way. Like,
well, unless the message of the film is like mentally ill people are evil.
But that's the thing, like, I totally didn't feel like he was evil. Like, I felt this is a person that's going crazy.
Okay.
And, like, I didn't feel that
Okay.
he was evil. And in the end, like, I almost felt like, he was more vulnerable, and he was, like, crying and, like, really about to, pass out. And, like, I just saw him as a completely, a human that's lost his mind, and he's, like, about, he's losing it. But, of course, I was extremely relieved that
That's
Danny
so interesting.
ran away.
Yeah. No, it completely makes sense. I just never thought about the film in that way. Even though I've, like, heard it talked about in that way. It's...
Yeah, no, I totally saw that, like, his internal, struggle, and that he's projecting all of this pain onto other people.
Yeah, yeah. I think
That
that's...
he's not, like, inherently evil.
Right. I think that the most conventional analysis is that it's about alcoholism and about, like, domestic problems and mental health, that he's kind of, like, struggling in his life, and that's leading to him to have this kind of demise. And but it's just told so, like, I just feel like there's so much emphasis on what occurs within these, if they are hallucinations, that I feel more tempted to view them as real, and view the other stuff happening as like also real, but kind of like occurring on different planes. It's more,
well, I think that's why it's so multidimensional, this movie. And that's why it was, I just really loved it, because I think, and not to say that this is like real life, but in that sense that, you know, in life, if anything happens, it normally has like many dimensions to it, and like there are factors, that's many factors to what happens. And I think that also kind of made me be really present with the whole movie, because there's no clear, you know, moral, or for me at least, I felt like it was really just, okay, this is happening.
Yeah, exactly. So some critics of Kubrick have said that his films are not emotional. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't know. I felt a lot of emotion through this movie, and just, I mean, this is probably pretty common interpretation, but like, you know, when he's going through the door with the, is it hatchet? How's it called? Axe. And you know, all the emotions Wendy's going through, and like also the kind of dissociation, and in Danny and her, like when, like I could, you know, relate to her in some way when she's just doesn't know what's going on anymore. She's so overwhelmed, and like I could feel. I mean, obviously, I haven't been chased by a man with a. Why I keep calling it hatchet? Axe. Yeah.
So would you say the film is a comedy?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I agree.
It was so funny because you were just like laughing for the first 10 minutes uncontrollably, and
well, like the first half of the movie is hilarious, then it just becomes a really good movie. But the first everything
is it though, because you know what, okay, yeah, I guess it's pretty funny.
Okay, let's talk about bathroom scene. Everybody wants to know what's going on there.
I think there were a few bathroom scenes. Which one?
The bathroom scene. Red and white. You've always been the caretaker here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell you first.
Okay.
This is the direct, you know, it's not the conversation between Grady and Jack. It's a conversation between the, you know, this kind of birthing, we'll just call it evil. I'm not saying it's evil, but it's like the evil inside of him and the very old centered evil of the hotel. That this is like their kind of, you know, meeting, and they're discussing you know, how they're doing. They're discussing what's going on with you know, the grand opposing force inside of Dick and inside of Danny, And this is just kind of like a discuss, it's one of my favorite, maybe my favorite scene, because they're just kind of having this little chat with each other, a meeting of the minds,
if you will,
if I may be so bold. So. And why is it so iconic? Why is that scene so famous?
Well, I didn't know that it was the most famous scene.
Yes, but why is it the most famous scene? Hey.
Labas.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Well, I think first of all that's the moment when he makes up his mind, maybe, or like that's the turning point that we're like, okay, this is really happening.
Okay.
But also just the way he, it's presented, like you could just put it in a boring way, but he has this conversation maybe in his mind with this what appears to be everything that happened.
Well,
tell me.
The thing is, there's nothing like walking into a nice, pristine, clean cut bathroom with nice lighting, nice urinal dividers. This is really what we've been wanting the whole film. Running around doing this and that. We just want to take a little break. The music is quiet. We get to just be in this little bathroom area.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wants. This wonderful, spooky bathroom to talk with an old man about how he killed his family. It's very nice, very slow. Did you know that it inspired there's a musical artist called The Caretaker, who's makes his whole genre of music is based off of this scene, that song that they play, and all his stuff is kind of these old scratchy recordings of 1920s ballroom music with weird kind of just little spooky effects.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Okay, so we did bathroom, we did room 237, we did who opened the door. Oh, we didn't do the Wendy, that shot. What's going on there?
Which one? Oh, when she comes up and she finds the... I just... my first thought was, oh, that's just Kubrick.
Kubrick being Kubrick?
Yeah. Could he not include somebody in a bunny costume?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's kind of a bit bigger, one of the bigger mysteries, which I kind of ignored a little bit, that what's going on when Wendy starts seeing stuff, and
exactly.
My first impression was that, oh, okay, maybe she's just going crazy because she's so overwhelmed with what's going on, and she's and part of the more cynical part of me was okay, this is just to include all this stuff in the movie, and somebody needs to observe it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really interesting part for me when she is finally included in this supernatural club. But yeah, that wasn't the smoothest one. I think that was the moment where I'm for some reason it was extremely believable, that Jack and Danny had all this sensing and supernatural things going on because Jack was going crazy and Danny just had this shining about him. But for me, it was hard to believe that Wendy, but maybe like that's kind of in that high stress state, like, you know, survival, that she suddenly opened up to it. But again, that's so amazing about this movie, that you just can keep thinking about it for hours and be like, oh, but really? You can keep making up different interpretations, so it's like so much fun. Sorry.
I have a devil's advocate question to pose. And that is, if we are to understand that people are going crazy, I mean, I'm not an expert in this, but this isn't really what happens when people, like, quote, go crazy. Like, I don't know what condition that would be that causes you to have very specific, like, very narratively coherent, you know, hallucinations that kind of occur and then stop and then start again and kind of follow this storyline. That, like, is that just like, is it going crazy as we understand it in this world, and that, like, this is just like the movie does a poor job at portraying this, or it just makes it, like, chooses to do it a certain way to make it like a more entertaining film than something accurate, or is it a different kind of going crazy that isn't actually real? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is it intentionally a different thing than what happens?
I think, like, that part that even thought about, you know, oh, maybe she's going crazy, it's like the logical part, but it was like very brief, like that I made that assumption, but like what was more the deeper feeling, that was Kubrick blending the realities in the movie, and it wasn't so like that wasn't meant to be understood through like this kind of normal thinking.
And about Jack, what about his
going crazy? Yeah, that I thought that was like real, going, that he was literally, maybe, I don't know what happens, schizophrenia, or like, I thought that he was actually going insane, and it was, I mean, of course, portrayed in a way that it was fitting in with the narrative, but I think that like the narrative supported him going crazy and vice versa, that was just kind of blending in quite nicely. Whereas with Wendy, because she was so clearly not going crazy all the time, it was like just a bit of what's going on now? What do you think?
I just think it's a highly inaccurate portrayal of schizophrenia, if that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I just said that word, but actually, I mean, there is just also that people just go mad and they see all kinds of stuff, and like going crazy is a actual what is it called? It's a diagnosis. Like, you can have a diagnosis.
I just don't think that's
being insane.
I just don't think that happens like exactly as it happens in this movie.
Oh, of course not exactly.
But like, even somewhat remotely. Like, I think it's a quite different thing. Like, I don't think that people go into that type of, you know what I mean? That if you're...
I know that you can, see other entities and people and talk to them, have conversations in your head, like, but so in that sense, I mean, I think unless you actually been there and experienced that, you probably wouldn't be able to know exactly, unless you spoke to maybe someone who has been through that.
I mean, I've met a few, and like just in the people that I've met, like their narratives are changing. There's an element of chaotic change within those stories that kind of will either rapidly cycle through different narratives, or it will be broken down in a way where the person is kind of aware that they are engaging in some kind of like conversation with a particular character or something like that. But it's a little bit more like like having an imaginary friend or something like that. Like it's just the feeling of it is so, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I think the idea that you would kind of go into this very specific storyline that then you come out of and then go back into, that's so connected with what's happening in real life. Like it just feels very unrealistic if it's meant to be a mental break. Because the mental break is usually very... it carries a certain intensity to it or something. Like it's just... there's usually like... because the person will feel stress as well, and then that can influence how it will go, or it's kind of like...
yeah, well,
there's
that's,
a more emotional...
I thought all those things were there. And like people, when they would get paranoia that something is following them, and all these delusions, like...
So you think that like going to the bathroom to clean the jacket and then talking like it's so slow?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that like that would be literally how it go, but I think it was like an excellent portray of somebody going crazy and their reality kind of shifting, and
yeah,
the way like, because first he was just seeing Wendy as like annoying and disturbing his work, but then he shifted to like having these conversations, with these which, and the way I saw it, that were really in his head, and then seeing her as like an enemy, that he needs to get rid of in order to save his like face or his word.
Yeah. Okay. Agree to disagree.
Okay. That's so interesting that you don't see that, like that you don't see him going crazy. Is that what you're saying, that you don't think that he went crazy?
No, I don't think he went crazy. And I mean, I think that... I mean, the story makes more sense to me if the, like, going crazy is real. Like, is an actual thing that exists. The what he starts to encounter and engage with is an actual, entity, and that like there's a piece of it that's also outside of him, and then there's the piece that's kind of like growing within him.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't think these are separate things. I think it's like
I wouldn't call that opening a like going crazy, because just in my limited experience of like knowing a few people quite closely who have entered into other realms, like it's just not like that, you know. And I mean, everyone's different, but it's just the continuity and the kind of how he behaves. Like, I feel like every time he's interacting with people, he's acting like a person. Like, I feel like he's so human, and that he's fighting against this possession. You know, the fact that he has this countering of it is very unrealistic, because usually, at least in my experience, when people when they start to see and go on to another way, that's where they want to be.
Well, where did you see countering?
That he's not going, that there's a struggle of him just going and killing them. He's so, you know, he's so weird about it. Like, if he just immediately got this idea, he would just go plan and kill them. But it's so...
I don't know, I thought it kind of makes sense, because, you know, the part of him that still saw Wendy and, you know, Danny as his son and wife, that it was still there. And I believe, you know, if you lose your mind, like, there is still like an animal part of you at least that feels some way towards these people. So I think it made sense to me, at least, that he had a bit of you know, internal struggle. But then I didn't sense that he put up a massive fight either. Like, he seemed to like easily convincible that it's the right thing to do.
Wow. Yeah, that's so interesting. Is it weird that I feel like he just had so much love for Wendy and his son throughout the whole film?
Oh,
like
that's very weird.
At no point I felt that he had
really
any issue. Yeah.
Wow. Like,
I thought Wendy was
had...
evil. That Wendy's trying to, you know.
Oh, you're pulling my leg.
No, I'm not.
You are, though.
No, because she didn't care about Jack's job. I think she doesn't care about anybody. I think she's just on her own planet, Wendy.
Oh,
okay, wait, let's cut. Yeah, so Wendy's just out to the races, you know? She doesn't understand what's really going on. She thinks that Tony is just like some game, like an imaginary friend, and she thinks, like, maybe I'm crazy and that's why I think this.
Are you like gonna pull out a axe from somewhere now?
No, like So why did Wendy bring a bat to go talk to Jack?
Oh, I thought because, like, at that point in the story, we still, like, she was still thinking that there was somebody else in the hotel.
Oh. So the bat wasn't for somebody, it wasn't for Jack, it was for somebody else.
I think it wasn't for Jack, but then, you know, as she saw what he was writing, and she was like, okay, realizing that her man's going crazy, and then the way he spoke to her, she was like obviously sensing a threat, and so eventually she ended up using it for Jack.
Did you not think it was judgmental how upset she was at his story?
I guess I was a bit judgmental. I mean,
That she just doesn't like experimental writing, and
yeah.
like would be a great book.
What did it say again? No play and all hard work.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, that it was formatted to, one
Yeah,
of
very
page it's in
different.
triangles.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay. All right. What do you think about the carpets design?
Oh, carpet design was lovely.
This is a serious question. This is iconic. The hexagons.
Oh, I don't think I noticed.
You didn't notice the carpet design?
Well, I noticed more like in my mind. I can see the carpets that Danny was like cycling through,
Yes.
and you were like, I think they were different ones.
No, it was the same one. He's playing with the trucks, and the trucks are going along the sides of the shape.
Mm-hmm.
And the ball comes, right? And he has the trucks, like two trucks there, so it blocks the ball.
Okay, I think that's the sort of thing I would notice watching it for the second time.
Yeah. But how do you feel about how the sound of the tricycle when it's on the floor, and then it's on the carpet, and then on the floor, and then on the carpet, and then on the floor?
I think it's quite spooky.
It's so spooky,
Yeah.
These are the great Kubrick things. Alright, time for fun movie facts. When he's going around the halls that they're turning, like he's turning too many times, so it's like not possible how it could be like that. Did you notice that?
No.
Yeah, it helps create this labyrinth type feel inside of the hotel. Like it's disorienting even if you don't consciously notice it.
Wow. That's a cool fact. Oh, can I ask you another question?
Yes.
Like, do you think Danny had this, like, plan to make his dad get lost in the labyrinth, or if it was more like that force that they shared with Dick that kind of is taking over him and helping him to do this thing, because it's like quite a tricky thing to do maybe for a child, or something else.
That's a good question. I never thought about that one. Because he does seem to switch out of Tony and back into Danny around that time there in the bathroom, and he goes out the window and is running around. Like, his face shows that he's Danny still, but I think I don't think the movie supports it, but one idea is that him and Tony merge into a character after Dick dies. Then Danny kind of becomes more, like advanced, I guess.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some weird theory. Like but yeah. I wanted to say that I met a guy once who used to work in that hotel. He used to work in the hotel that's the one that they shoot in the movie, and also in the hotel that's it's based on, because I think there is a real Overlook hotel, something like that.
Is it like based on an actual story that happened, or?
But the hotel there's an actual hotel. And he was the dining room manager at this other hotel that is kind of like the Shining Hotel.
Cool.
And he, yeah.
Did he tell you any cool facts?
Well, we just started talking on the bus, and then we met up later, and he was asking me where I was staying, like exactly where I was staying, and I told him. And then I got a little spooked out because I was just a kid, you know, and I was like, why was this man asking exactly where I stay? And I got all spooked. But later he let me borrow his bicycle so I could see the sunrise, because I had to bike out to see where it was. It was really nice. And then he offered me food, and I was like, oh, you have access to the food? And he goes, I'm the dining room manager. And then I told him he was the nicest guy I ever met. And then he said, you know, pay it forward. He said, help somebody else out. I'll never forget that.
Mm.
Okay. Have any more thoughts?
I had, but I forgot when.
Oh, when I went on this tangent?
Yeah. It was something. Oh, yeah, like, what was interesting for me, that, like, the degree to which Dick was aware of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like if he was really, you know, if he could really see that Jack's just out there with the hatchet, and, you know, it's a, you know, the primitive part of me was like, I hope you brought guns and stuff, like, because he just came there to kind of check on them, and he had, so I'm just curious, because, like, yeah, he saw something, you know, when he was in his room. You can see from his face, he's like really sensing something, but then he didn't really like bring anything to deal with the situation. So, like, or was it all kind of like on planned?
Yeah, no, I think he's meant to be a martyr, that he's you know, the snowcat is what's important. And that you know, he's the, you know, there's a higher entity at play to save a different higher entity.
Yeah,
it does feel like a bit of a cop out, but it's like, it's the reason I am providing these, like, this theory is because that's how the film actually feels to me while I'm watching it, you know.
Yeah, no, that's totally makes sense, you know. And it's like, for me, it was really satisfying end.
Yeah. You want to know something hilarious about this film?
Yes.
Is that when it first aired in theaters, Kubrick went and saw it, and then, like, almost immediately he cut out like 45 minutes of the film.
Really?
Yeah, and so that the version that's like was being shown in the movie theaters, like, it didn't include like the scene where, like, it includes Jack going to talk to Mr. Ullman, but then, you know, in the movie it like quickly cuts away to the scene with Danny and the therapist woman, and then it goes back into that one, and there's that whole explanation. Like, that whole explanation was taken out. And also I think the therapist woman, that whole thing was kind of cut much shorter, and like when they're walking through the hall and you're saying, oh, are these real Native Americans? Like, oh yes, I think this is Apache and whatever it was. Like, that was taken out, and
but we saw the original, right?
Yeah. Just a lot of the most comedic gems were cut short.
Yeah. But you see, that means that he wanted to be more of a horror movie, not comedy.
Yeah. And the ending too. I think that last final thing where it goes back into the hotel and shows him, and the 1921 thing was cut out.
Oh yeah, did we even talk about that?
Maybe briefly. I don't know. You've always been the cat. Yeah, I mean, Grady says he's always been the caretaker here, so clearly.
So what do you actually think? Oh my god. That's so interesting. Oh, this movie is just... It's just so many levels to it. It's so fascinating. Yeah, I just had the feeling of like it's actually... I don't know how to put it in words. That we just see it first from like a future perspective and then like a past perspective or something like that. That it's like,
yeah,
it's actually that one time that it happened, but I don't know. I don't know if how it resonates.
That's
with that,
a really
but...
interesting theory, though. I like that a lot. That's a beautiful one, love. That it all happened one time and we're just seeing it through different lenses.
Something like that.
That's very cool. I like that a lot more than my theory, which is just that that's kind of this evil entity thing that's kind of like resilient, even though that Jack died. That's kind of revealing that the entire force wasn't removed, that it kind of lives on.
That's kind of, yeah. What else I was gonna say?
We're just real low on bats. I'm just gonna cut us.
No. The only thing is that I literally cannot remember what was that.
That's okay.
Thought I had. I'm gonna think about it.
Okay. I love that this is our most artistic video.
Something like that actually that it didn't actually happen before, but Jack kind of convinced himself that it did happen before because he couldn't accept that that's a part of him that's actually will be who will do it.
Okay.
And that story, it's not like that we're meant to think first that this actually happened before, but then as it progresses, we realize that like Jack is gonna be the one that commits this, and therefore like the future and past are all.
But so then, in this theory, what is the explanation for the scene where Mr. Ullman explains how Delbert Grady cut his daughter and his two daughters and his wife into little pieces and stabbed
There is
them?
no explanation. That was just like, I guess really creative interpretation. That's probably not what was meant.
It doesn't have to be what was meant, but it's just how does it fit together? Or that Danny is seeing these girls cut up with axes. But like, I agree with you that it didn't happen before, but I think that it's because, it could just be that is some kind of like haunted story or something, Like, because one important detail is that in the Delbert Grady story it was two daughters, and in this story it's oh, it's a son, and also that he's not successful. It's very different.
Yeah.
What actually happens.
Yeah. So is it like a popular interpretation that he just gets taken over by the evil that's already in the hotel?
We'd love to just, I think we might need to speak up a little bit for the
Oh, okay. Shall I repeat what I just said? Is it the popular interpretation that gosh, my brain, that he Jack just gets taken over by the evil that's already in the hotel?
No. I think the popular interpretation is that he loses his mind. He has a bit of cabin fever. I think seeing the hotel as sentient is not popular. It's kind of like talked about. Maybe people like to write papers about it in college, but it's, I don't know. It's like I think I think there's maybe even a bigger theory about these little girls like controlling something or something like that. Like the little girls being evil or
But in the beginning of the movie, I think the way Dick explains to Danny how, in a kind of like a sensitive way as not to scare a child, not to freak him out, like, sometimes, this is a big place and many people have been here.
Right.
And some things happen, things happen that were good and things happen that were bad or something like that. Or that were not good. And that whatever happens kind of leaves an imprint. So like the way I've seen it, it was more of this like psychic imprint that there's like, that way or energy of like that thing happening there.
Yeah.
And that if you're like a child or like really sensitive person, that you could perceive it somehow as I told you when we just started watching it, how when I was little, like I had this dream about people dying, like drowning in the place that we were, where was my parents, grandparents' summer house, and next morning we went there with grandma, and there was actually somebody drowned that night as I was dreaming it, almost like, or maybe he drowned in the morning, or the previous night. I'm not sure about it, like the timeline, but just child being more perceptive of like stuff like that. Gosh, I told you the story so many times now. So are we aiming to make like a 12 hours worth of content about just talking about this movie?
No, we'll just talk as much as we have to say. But there was something else I wanted to talk about. You just mentioned something.
I asked something about what you thought about Danny going into the labyrinth and kind of saving, but I think you answered that already.
Yeah, no, it wasn't about that. It was about what question we were just trying to answer about. Oh yeah, psychic entities in the house, or these imprints. Like, I think that's accepted, but it's not that it's the house, it's that it's these things that were left behind in the house. It's ghosts, I guess, is what it falls into more. Ghost theory.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how you see the ghosts. Like, as if you, like, whether you, or people who do believe in ghosts, whether they see them as like entities that can act and impact physical reality,
Yeah.
or if they're just kind of imprints that are just there and you can perceive them or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but I really like that there wasn't this kind of explicit there is evil in this house. Like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was explicit bad stuff happened here before, but like it really annoys me when in horror movies like the girls would actually start like attacking.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's
That's what makes things not spooky anymore.
Yeah.
It's just,
Right. I mean, what's cool about this film is that it's not, is that the horror element is driven by just kind of framing, and like you said, like the scariest part of the movie is like the beginning when nothing bad happens.
Yeah.
Like, because it's, what's scary about it is, you know,
anticipation.
yeah, because we have these very corny things like, oh, there was, you know, this guy who killed his family. Like, that's not even what's scary about it. It's scary when they're just kind of like, you're just put, you're given so little, like, you just don't know where it's turning or when something is going to happen, or like, it's just very long scenes, and then the music obviously is really driving that suspense feeling. And but yeah, it's not about Jack being scary or about, you know, any particular boogeyman.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
That
You know?
it's really unique, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen other movies like that.
Yeah, I mean, usually
I
in
know
horror
they're
movies, there's
classy.
something you're supposed to be afraid of. But in this, you don't even know what you're supposed to, like, fear, necessarily.
Like, for me, it was like the fear of what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And there was this massive power, like, because we're giving these hints.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so, like, then there's this massive power of association. Like, you know, when I saw that fridge with, like, meats, like, I immediately thought about.
So, our classic Kubrick shot. Wait. Okay. So, wait, you have to stop moving so I can frame you. So, I dream in entities, right? So, like, in my dreams, like, the characters are not people, but they're, you know, a space or a house or a movement or a time period, or like they're not localized. Sometimes they are, but usually they're much broader. Usually it's an entire environment, but it's not the object. It is a character that plays out in objects. I mean, sometimes there aren't even objects associated with it, but so because I'm tuned into seeing things in that way, when I watch a movie that turns that on, I'm not inclined to do a, you know, being-based analysis of the story, because the psychedelic one is already a coherent plot for me, you know. To dial it back into what do the people mean and what does that mean, it's like, you know, because I'm not doing work to kind of say, oh, this is the evil entity. It's just like, that's what I see when I watch it the first time, you know.
Yeah.
So that's just where I'm coming from with that, and it leads me to interpret things, I think, quite differently than at least what I see online. Yeah. Especially with David Lynch films, it's like people are all about like, what does this mean? Who is this person? What's real? What's not real? And I'm just like, oh, this movie is about like the that goes, and it's like, that just makes sense to me, you know. It's just like, oh yeah, these 5 characters are one thing and this thing is another. Like, it's just like,
yeah, you definitely interpret films very differently to other people that I met. But I like that, like, when you explained your theory or how you felt what's happening, that it didn't like contradict mine. It's just
Right.
like it gave it another dimension.
Yeah, I don't think my theories necessarily contradict other theories because they're not making claims about, you know, the character level. But I think at certain points, I think I have like definitive feelings, but those are usually more about choices with editing or choices with like sound or just like, because those things I feel like really do create, they directly create how people feel about the film, you know, the choice of using this sound at this moment or this cut or this shot, like I feel like that drives, that's like the backbone that drives like how people will feel watching the films, you know.
Yeah.
More a lot more than story.
I have another question for you.
Yeah.
If you were Wendy, would you have killed Jack
wouldn't.
You had the chance when she knocked him out with the baseball bat?
I wouldn't be Wendy. Here's the thing about Wendy. If you're Wendy, you're just already so far away from where you want to be. Wendy needs to like take 1 million chill pills, and Wendy needs to really focus on Wendy, because she's already focusing on Wendy. She just doesn't know it. She thinks that she's focusing on the other people, but this is all just Wendy trying to manage her own anxiety through controlling her son and her husband. Like, Wendy needs to like really dive deep because she's completely disconnected from source, you know.
Do you think she needs to focus on her highest excitement?
I think Wendy needs to understand what it means to be a being and become okay with that again. Because I think Wendy just didn't ever have that chance to really touch base with a foundation of reality, you know?
But I think that's like set in a time where women are still quite oppressed, and like there was this, you know, submissive housewife and macho husband thing happening. Yeah. So just telling Wendy that that's what she needs to do, it's like, I think, you know, she was doing the best she could.
Of course.
What she had.
Yeah. Yeah, she was doing her best, but it wasn't enough. Yeah, so I would say do that. Do some, you know, breath work. That's where I would start, you know. But if she's already at that point, if she's already, you know, going to this hotel with this crazy man and her son, I think the best thing for her to do is to, you know, let Jack do his work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like, the thing is, she was fucked either way, you know, because he disabled the car.
Mm-hmm.
She had no way to get out of there. So it doesn't really matter. I would just say maybe when you notice that your son has been attacked, you don't just kind of like gloss over that. You kind of like make some choice to protect yourself.
Do you mean the first time when he...
Yeah, when his shirt was ripped and he had the marks on his neck.
Ah, so about that, like, is that for sure Jack that did it?
I think Wendy did it.
No, seriously, what do you think of, like, because I wasn't sure, like, what happened there.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I like that they left that one very open. You know. But yeah, I mean, you can say Jack did it or the evil woman in the bathtub did it. But that's why Jack is good, you know?
Why?
Because he was opposed to this scary old woman. They're fighting each other. Or he's running away from her.
Yeah, but I thought the scary woman was just the wife of the girl, or the mother of the girls. That was killed also, because then, you know, her rotting body that we see after. Like, so she was like more like of a victim of evil.
I know, but why was she old?
Yeah, that's pretty evil.
No, but I just mean...
Well, because she's been dead for a while.
I know, but like when you die, you don't get older. I never realized that.
Yeah, but we never really we're never given like an age of, you know, that woman. I mean, it's quite rightful to assume that she wasn't old because she had like 2 little girls. But I don't know, for me it was like it seemed like it's the...
But she had 2 little girls in the 1920s. She was probably young. I mean, I think what the film is trying to posit is that the young, if this is meant to be the mom, then it's like the young woman that comes out of the bath is, you know, her before she was killed.
Yeah.
And then she's old. But it's funny because, you know, she should just be a decayed skeleton, not like a...
Yeah.
All these, like, bed sores and decaying old woman.
I just think it maybe was more scary than...
Yeah. But we need to answer these questions. Why is she old? But no, first, you were saying she's opposed to Jack because she's the mother. But then, if she also fought Danny, then whose side is she on?
Okay, so really we are supposed to believe Danny when it comes to like entities and things, because he's a trustworthy source in that.
Yeah.
And he did say that this woman attacked him.
Yeah.
I don't know, is it just like, you know, that she's resentful of what happened to her and her girls, and she's like
Attacking everybody.
Yeah, maybe she's really bitter.
Wow. The girls seem to be doing okay though. Like they're usually not dead.
They're not showing decaying. But when they say like, come to you, that's forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
I think that hints at the fact that they're dead.
Yeah, they're dead.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, I love that we have so many unanswered questions.
Yeah. And I was introduced to this film through a Slipknot music video. They made this song, Spit It Out. They like themed the music video around this movie. That was my first introduction to The Shining, before I saw The Shining.
Wow. So you really have to Slipknot to thank for
Everything.
a lot.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah, I don't remember another movie that would be just so satisfying to like think about and analyze.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about labyrinths. The labyrinth of the grass maze and the labyrinth of the halls of the Overlook Hotel, and the labyrinth of, this mental psychic confusion we have. This theme of, is the hotel meant to be the mind? Is the mind meant to be the maze? What about this scene when Jack is throwing the ball against the wall? Was that even meant to be in the film, or was the actor just bored and playing one day and Stanley decided to just film it? When Jack is throwing the ball against the wall and then the ball rolls up to Danny, is this supposed to be a sign that the father and son are playing together? Because I feel like Danny, I would much rather have Jack as a father than Wendy as a mother. Jack is a great dad. He doesn't kill his son, and he shows him so much love, like when Danny is lost in the snow and Jack is running after him to saying, Danny! Danny! I would love to have a father that would call after me and run for me in the snow. It just feels so loving, and Wendy is just like when the woman asks about Tony and then Wendy is answering for Danny. It's just come on, Wendy's so enmeshed, you know what I mean?
I don't know, I thought that I wouldn't want Jack as my father, and very much so because he has that, I think he's still working with some survival emotions, and he is in this kind of fight or flight, mode, and that you could really see in his face, even though he's trying to say something nice to Danny and we're sure that he's not going to kill him.
Okay.
He's very...
And are you going to make a case now that Wendy is less so in the fight or flight mode and base emotions than Jack?
She was stressed, but she was definitely less creepy.
Yeah, fair.
I would definitely be less scared of Wendy. I would think, maybe she's just a bit stressed looking at her face, but looking at Jack's face,
Wow.
I'd be something's seriously happening wrong. If I didn't have any understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, fair. Wow. But doesn't Wendy just seem so vacant to you? What's her deal? What's the point?
What's her deal?
Yeah, Jack, he's got something going for him, He's a writer, he's a boiler guy, he's doing his stuff, he's a caretaker. Yeah, he gets a little crazy sometimes, but, he's at least a person, and Wendy is just this...
she's got nothing going for her. She just worries, and it's like, oh, I need some more time to think. This is like, what are you doing, Wendy? Like, bring him some food and won't interrupt his writing again. Like.
Oh, do you want to tell about your friend that actually got seriously sided with Jack?
Yeah, so I told you it was my friend. That's because I was too shy to tell you it was me. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god, I believed you for a moment.
Oh.
Because you don't like to be interrupted so much. I mean, nobody does. That's just the obvious thing.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to like fully identify with the axe wielding murderer psychopath. It was so funny. Can I turn off this air conditioner?
Oh yeah.
Oh, maybe I
I
turned
can
it
turn
on.
it off. Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yes.
But did he keep identifying with him throughout the?
I think he sees Jack as the hero, yeah. Yeah, I have some funny stories to tell you about this friend.
Like actually as a hero?
Well, he just finds Wendy very annoying.
Oh my god.
Jack is a great father because he holds Danny and tells him, I would never hurt you,
Do you want to talk about your childhood trauma? What makes you think that Jack is a good father?
It makes me think Wendy is a terrible mother. I totally forgot about that part, actually, when Danny has the scar on his neck.
Yeah.
I mean, like, when I watched this film this time, I was just like, oh, fuck, I forgot about that. Okay, here's another one. When Danny's inside of that cupboard, and he's going... That's the same face they showed that, like, earlier in the film. It's another time-bending thing.
I just thought you'd make a similar face when you were terrified to death.
No, I think it's that exact scene. I think it cuts to that.
Ah.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think our coffee machine is controlled by entity.
Yeah.
But did you think it had like specific meaning, or it was just...
Well, it's just another element of time bending, of this kind of like future happening in the past and breakdown of chronological storytelling.
Oh my god.
Like, even from when he's talking to Tony in the bathroom, that's the first time I think you see Danny go. And that's the shot of him hiding inside of the thing, I'm pretty sure.
Ah, no, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
What do you think about all the other people at the ball? What's their deal?
What's going on with these guys? They're just going to the sauna?
Could be.
I think their deal is to give context for what's his name?
Jack?
No.
Delbert Grady?
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. It's like, are they good? Are they bad? Are they real? Are they in the past? Are they in the future?
I think it's part of Jack's hallucination.
Okay. Right.
What do you think? And in a sense, you could say maybe, you know, like he's tapping into this evil that happened in the hotel. You could be also tapping into things, you know, that's where happened that were pretty normal, like this wall scene, until the weird stuff happened.
Okay, ask me again what did I think?
So what did you think of the people in the ball scene?
So I see them. They're entity. They're not the strong force of that evil energy, but they exist in that realm. You know, they're kind of like in the realm that the strong force also exists in, but they themselves are not, in a way, like they're just kind of like passively supporting of it. They're just like not fighting it. So by default, they're...
Yeah.
You know. But I don't think that it's evil. I just think it's like that one color, and then there's the other one. And yeah, we're meant to root for Dick and the boy, but that, like, if you really look at it objectively, you know, we're just not given enough context about this timeless situation between these two mysteries. You know what's funny about the room, the one that Wendy comes across, where the guy's sucking the guy's dick?
What's funny?
Is that this is one of these things that was given much more context for in the book. Like there's a whole thing about like animal suit sex parties and stuff. But then in the movie, he's just like, and it has no, like, it's just a completely absurd what the fuck moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the thing that really sold it for me, actually, the first time I saw this movie. I was just like, I like that happens.
I kind of like it that, you know, in the book, it did have some kind of meaning, and then, you know, if you were only watching the movie, then you wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
But that if you did read the book, that you could find the link like this.
Yeah. There was also a mini series on ABC. I think it was like a 6-part series that was also telling the story of The Shining, but that's much truer to the book text, and it's like much scarier and
really.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's like the author of the book likes it a lot more in this film.
Yeah, I don't think I want to watch the more scary version.
I think it's just a different story.
I don't want to know the real story.
Mm-hmm. I really like look at Kubrick films in general as this kind of like multi-dimensional energy thing. Like it makes so much sense in 2001: A Space Odyssey because there's just basically no characters in that film. It doesn't, I mean, Clockwork Orange is very different because in that one there's really nothing supernatural going on. But definitely in The Shining and in...
And which one do we watch together?
We didn't watch a Kubrick film together.
Oh, what did we watch then?
We watched The Holy Mountain.
No, we watched another one too.
The Jewish movie.
No. Did you forget that we watched another movie? I think we didn't list it when we were listing which movies we watched.
Oh,
together.
yeah?
Gosh, how was it called? It was like this actress coming to Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, that was a Lynch film. Yeah. What about it?
I don't remember why I brought it up.
Well, yeah, Lynch films I also view as this kind of dreamscapey stuffs. Oh, we should watch Eyes Wide Shut. That's a really good film. I think that film is scarier than this one. But that one's not supposed to be a horror film.
I think I might have seen it, but
Yeah.
a long time ago. So what's about the animal suits like in the book?
Yeah, I think there was some like sex party at the July 4th ball or something, and they were wearing animal suits and getting freaky.
So that's like, is that anything to do with the family, or it's just something that is known to have happened in the hotel?
Well, I think they spell it out more for you in the book about the hotel, the past, and I never read the book.
It's interesting because when I saw it, I thought this was just completely Kubrick's edition, like that animal costume bit.
Yeah.
But so it wasn't, I guess, or
No. That's from the text. I don't think he really added that much. I think it was just the way he kind of framed and told the story made it really differ from what was going on in the book. You know?
How can Stephen King not like Shining? I guess I can see why maybe it's annoying when someone takes your creation and makes it better.
No, I think he made it worse. Like, I mean, this movie is incredible, but I think this book was like King's masterpiece that like then this movie came out that's like, you know, very theatrical and doesn't really tell the story of the book.
But it was masterpiece as a what's the genre called? Horror literature?
Yeah. Horror, but I think also, I don't know.
But overall, like, what's considered to be more
I think the books.
now?
I mean, it's a different audience, I guess, who likes the book and who likes the movie, but like, I think generally books are better. They're less fun, you know, but you can kind of say more stuff because you get more lines. I don't know. It's really apples and oranges. But I don't like movies. I just like talking about them. But I do like The Shining. I think I might like The Shining even more than I like Trash Humpers.
Really? There's nothing you like more than Trash Humpers.
I know, but having just watched this, it's a very good movie.
Okay, let's watch it again.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, guys.